But as we do, I want to tell you, have y'all ever heard of what's called the lifeboat theory? This was something that was taught by Garrett Hardin. He's an ecologist, and he used it as a way to determine if we should help certain nations about resources and all of that. But they've taken their concept and basically have said, this is a lesson on values, okay, and importance. So, what it is if you have a certain number of people in a lifeboat, and you only have resources for so many, one of them has to go, how do you determine who is thrown off the boat? So that everybody else can survive, you gotta let go of one. So, here is the thing, okay? In a boat, and y'all gonna play along with this, okay? In a boat, you have a banker, the Monopoly guy. You have a lawyer, Ben Matlock, okay? You have a little girl, a stay-at-home mom, and a garbage collector. Okay? Now, you have 5 folks there. You have resources for 4 folks. Who do you throw off? Pretty hard, right? Now, this has been done in classrooms and ethics classes and all that. And here's where it gets kind of tricky, because the constant in almost every one is that the first one to go is the lawyer. And I don't know what that says about how we think of lawyers, but that's why I put Ben Matlock up there, because how can you not love Ben Matlock? But the second this is where they found this, is how quick and easy it is for us to establish value and importance to people. Let me show you another thing. Let's put another person in the boat. How does it change the thing? The truth is, whether we want to admit it or not, all of us in our minds has this invisible hierarchy. I'm going to keep that up there. This invisible hierarchy in our minds of who we think is important, who is not important, who is more important, and who is less important. And all of us have this, and we put ourselves somewhere in there. So if you look at this, you would say, okay, let's just use this example. The least important guy is the Monopoly guy. The most important guy is the garbage man. If you didn't want to get thrown off the boat, who do you associate with most? You're going to hook up with the garbage man so that people will say, hey, you must be important, you're with him. You don't want to be connected with the losers, right? And so you think about this, all of us have this in our minds. In our minds, we have this other thing, and this is where it's everywhere. I was reading a book a while back, and it talked about, the whole chapter was called, Why a Three-Legged Man is Better Than a Bearded Lady. Okay? These are classic books, y'all, okay? But what the story was about was that this man was reading about a circus, and this is back in the 1920s and all this, and so the three-legged man was part of the circus, and so was this bearded lady. And so in the circus thing, the three-legged man had a write-up in the paper, and everybody was just astonished that a man had 3 legs, and so they were scared. Well, he got to be so popular that he got more money than the other ones. And all of a sudden, in the circus, the man with the 3 legs became the highest attraction, and the lady with the bearded face became towards the bottom. And the comment that was made was that not every one of us is so blessed to be born with the 3rd leg. And the author said, here I am, a normal-looking, average male. If I were to join that circus, I would be, by the world standards, the prettiest person there, but by the circus standards, I would be put at the bottom. I would be the least valuable. And the author pointed out, no matter where you go, there's always this system of who's important and who's not. And if you're not at the top, if you're at the bottom, there's a penalty for being at the bottom. Why do we like to pick on other folks? Have you ever thought about that? Why is it that we have bullies who like to find someone else and pick on them? As a way of saying, I'm up here, you're down here. trying to establish myself as being above you because I am more important. On this invisible scale that we all have, I'm up here. And that's why we try to disassociate ourselves with those on the bottom. I know when I was in middle school, y'all, this still bugs me to this day. I thought I was a sports guy. I did all these things and all this. But I was always trying to be nice folks. Okay, that was one of my things that my whole life tried to do. And I was running in gym class. And we had the groups, well, the nerd group, okay? Then you had the jock group back here. And I was trying to run between. And I was running a little bit closer towards the nerd group. And then one of my buddies behind me says, "Hey, look, it's the nerd herd." Go ahead and laugh. It was funny time. Until I realized, wait a minute, I'm in the nerd herd. I'm not supposed to be in the nerd herd. And so instead of saying, "Hey, y'all stop it," and go and be the nerds, my friends over there, I backpedaled a little bit. And made sure I was in the cool group. Have you ever thought about this, how we like to associate with winners and disassociate with losers? For example, did y'all know that Kentucky beat Kansas last night? Right? Okay, when Kentucky wins, we say, "We won," right? What happens if Kentucky loses? Do we say we lost? No, we say they lost. We won! They lost. Because we're always putting ourselves, associating ourselves with those winners on this. So you ask yourself, why is it? Why are we always comparing ourselves? Why are we always trying to compare ourselves to others? Why are we always trying to say, "I'm better than you"? What is the basis for this? I mean, think about this. If you had an alien, okay, just use your imagination, okay? An alien came to the world, turned on our television set, and started watching our television programs. First thing he sees is a basketball game, okay? And he says, "Okay, what's the deal here?" And we're like, "Okay, you see that ball?" "Yes." "They're trying to put it in the hoop." "Okay. Why?" "Because they got to do it." "Okay, well, what's the other group?" "Well, they're trying to do the same thing." "Well, what's the point of this?" "Well, we got to find out who's better at it." Like, okay, I don't get that. And they're like, "Okay, let's turn channel." And then all of a sudden you turn on the E network. And there's someone there telling someone, "Oh, can you see the way that he is dressed, or the way she's dressed? I can't believe that." Click it. And then all of a sudden you see a show called Survivor. What's the show about? Well, we got to see who's better. Who's going to live on this island better? God was where they got the affirmation. God was where they got all their importance from. God was the center of their lives and determined everything. But once the fall took place in Genesis 3:7, it says that the first thing that happened, that Adam and Eve noticed that they were naked. And before God's even there, God so off, they had to go sew leaves and cover themselves up. Because I want to go to, because we're going to Galatians, is that is a fallen nature to where we're always looking to someone else for our affirmation instead of looking to God. And when we don't feel like we're getting it from someone else, we will lash out at them. And so there's danger with kids from comparing to other folks and try to get their approval. So this is where, finally, we're going to Galatians 5, okay? So y'all go, turn there to Galatians 5. Look at verse 13. Now Galatians letter is about the power of the gospel, life that's redeemed. There's danger of folks fall back to legalism. But what Paul's doing right here is a life that is lived in the Spirit is one that's not lived for self. It's lived for God and for others. But one that is lived in the flesh is one that's geared towards self. Okay, so this is what he talks about. Verse 13. You, my brothers, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the sinful nature. Rather, serve one another in love. The entire law is summed up in a single command: love your neighbor as yourself. If you keep on biting and devouring each other, watch out, or you will be destroyed by each other. Now I want you to jump down real quick to verse 26. Let us not become conceited, provoking and envying each other. Okay, a couple things about this. First one, he says, yeah, my brother, you're called free. He says, use your freedom not to just brag about yourself and all these things. The issue is serve others. It's not about you. Take the focus off yourself. Don't worry about what other people think. It's not about you getting all the glory, you getting all the pride and all this. It's about you serving others in love. And then notice here in verse 14, he says the entire law is summed up in one single command. Love your neighbor as yourself. Now, didn't Jesus say there are two commands? Love God, love your neighbor. Paul sums it up in one thing, because he's saying if you say you love God, this is going to happen. If you love your neighbor yourself, that is something that God is going to be. You're going to have to love God to do that. And so love your neighbor as yourself, and he goes on, because if you don't, you will keep on biting and devouring yourself to the point where you're dead. Okay, then you go back to that lifeboat, okay? If you have those 5 people in that lifeboat, and you're determined which one's more important, what's going to happen when you got to tell them, one of y'all have to go? You know what they're going to do? Fight, argue bigger. Now, I don't watch Survivor. That's not my thing. But, do they get along? No. Most of the time, they're trying to tear each other down because they want to be the one to be on top, right? What happens when we are focused on ourselves and not on other folks? We're always biting and devouring each other, tearing each other's back, talking bad about each other, casting others out, and all this. And what does that life look like? I want to show you this. This is verses 19. This comes from the translation of the Message. This is what Eugene Peterson wrote. He said, this is verse 19. It is obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all the time. Repetitive, loveless, cheap sex, a stinking accumulation of mental and emotional garbage, frenzied and joyless grabs for happiness, trinket gods, magic show religion, paranoid loneliness, cutthroat competition, all-consuming get never satisfied once, a brutal temper, an emptiness to love, or, here it comes, divided homes and divided lives. Small-minded, lopsided pursuits, the vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone into a rival, uncontrolled and uncontrollable addictions, ugly parodies of community. I can go on. This isn't the first time I've warned you. You know, if you use your freedom this way, you will not inherit God's kingdom. In other words, when you live your life for yourself, that's what happens. That's it. But the whole point Paul makes is that when God is the only life, when you're putting God first, you get an affirmation from Him, you don't worry about that. You're free to love others and care for others, and you come kind of like Jesus. So in verse 26, he says, do not become conceited. Do not become conceited. Now think about that. Why do people get high on themselves? It's because of this whole idea of getting affirmation. Don't brag. Don't provoke each other. Don't envy each other. So real quick, so what? First of all, it means find your true value in God regardless of others. Whether or not this person over here cares about what you're wearing doesn't change who you are. Whether or not this person over here likes or dislikes you doesn't change who you are. Whether you're cool or uncool, it doesn't change. Let God be the one to determine that. Second thing is, stop comparing yourself with other folks. Someone said that we have a 20/20 and 21/21 prophets. We're supposed to have 20/20 vision. That's from John 20:20, where he says that they saw the resurrected Christ and their eyes were on Jesus. But John 21:21 says that they looked at this other person, and John says, well, what about him? Instead of being concerned what God's doing with this person, worry about yourself. And that's where you're free to, instead of comparing yourself, let God bless them the way. Imagine this. I'll tell you what, I don't know what time's up. Do y'all remember the parable about the talents? One person got 5 talents, one got 3 talents, and one got 1 talent. Could you imagine a person with 1 talent spent their whole life saying, it's not fair. That person has 5 talents. I'm miserable because I only got 1 talent. Instead of looking and saying, wow, you gave me a talent. Thank you. Now this is the harsh reality. I hate to say this, but life's not fair. We're not all equal. If it was equal, you know what? I would be 7'3". And I could take a jump shot. It's not. That's the way it is. Stop comparing yourself. And so that goes with 3 other things. First of all, be content. Doesn't mean you don't try to better yourself, but be content. Second of all, have gratitude, be thankful. And third, pray for others. Okay, and I'll close with this. Imagine this boat. We said, how does the chain of Jesus is in there? All this group, who is the most important? Jesus. Okay? Now in Philippians 2, it says, your attitude should be the same with Jesus. Now let's say that Jesus is the one who made the boat. And instead of playing the game, he said, I, who am the most important, will become nothing. And I will be the one to go overboard. Sacrifice myself so that I can make the boat bigger, so everyone can stay. Would that be crazy? Philippians 2. Have the same mind of Christ, who though in very nature God, considered himself nothing, and took the form of a servant, and was obedient to death, even death upon the cross, for our sake. Whole point of this. Don't go around judging other folks, saying I'm better than you. Just say, Jesus loves me, this I know, or the Bible.